Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel, and today I want to talk about one of the last few movies that I saw at TIFF that I want to get on and give you my thoughts fully, and this one is one that I knew I could not pass up because of how important it is in the long scheme of things, not just in the realm of cinema, but in the world as a whole, and that, of course, is The Voice of Hind Rajab, written and directed by Kaouther Ben Hania, starring Saja Kelani, Motaz Malhiz, Ambra Helhel, and Clara Khoury. And this is basically a recreation or a reenactment, if you will, of the events that took place on January 29th, 2024, when a little Palestinian girl named Hind Rajab was trapped inside a car with her dead family members, and them trying to save her, get her out of the car, and keep her safe from being blown up by the IDF. So pretty weighty right out of the gate. And this movie got a lot of buzz coming out of Venice. It won the Grand Jury Prize, while a lot of people thought that it should have won the Golden Lion. And I definitely think that is probably maybe the first or second most acclaimed movie coming out of Venice this season, probably after No Other Choice. So I knew I had to see this one. I did not have a ticket to it, and this is the beautiful thing about TIFF. The rush line does exist, and I made sure that I got in that line well before the movie started, and it was a lovely experience because I got in, and that was my first rush line I ever did at the festival, and definitely helped getting in for free, so I won't complain about that. But my goodness, I am so glad I went and saw this, because this was probably the most surreal, most incredible experience when it comes to being in a theater filled with people and watching a film. I think that this is really why the theatrical experience is so special, when you have so many people together in the same room, kind of going through all, very intense and similar emotions and reactions. And that is certainly what happened while watching The Voice of Hind Rajab, because the incredible thing about this film, and I suppose it has come under some criticism for this, is they use the actual voice recordings of Hind Rajab before she died. I mean, that's not a spoiler, that's just history. If you've been following the Israeli-Palestinian conflict at all, you probably know that. And it is absolutely devastating to hear this little girl crying, pleading for help with these people who are on the other line, and they can only do so much to help her. And it really does feel like a great amalgamation of movies like 12 Angry Men, for instance, and The Guilty from 2018, which I just watched recently, and that was phenomenal. So it is very much a bottle film in that sense, where you are kind of locked into a small location. There's a lot of close-ups being used because they want to emphasize exactly what these people are going through, while on the other line trying to make things happen for this little girl. And every single roadblock and obstacle that comes within their path, it is so stressful, it is so emotionally draining. It really is one of the most powerful movies of the entire year. And what I love about it is Hania's direction is actually really excellent here. Of course, she is known for a lot of her documentarian work, especially with Four Daughters, which was nominated for Best Documentary Feature a couple years ago at the Oscars. And she's a previous Oscar nominee, so, definitely this movie has gotten some clout because of that. And of course, the subject matter, which it comes at both a selling point and also a point of controversy, depending how you fall on this conflict. But we won't get into that right now. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I do think that, She really does have a way of moving the camera, placing characters in the frame. I'm pretty sure I remember a really great use of rack focus a few times that really accentuated the tension and emotion of the characters in the situation. And I do think that the ensemble cast is phenomenal here, but I really think the standout is Saja Kilani, who I think deserves to be nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. It really is such a emotionally grueling, demanding, and captivating performance. Just watching her, get on the phone with this little girl and try to reassure her that everything is okay while she herself doesn't know exactly what is happening. I absolutely adore this performance. It's one of the most powerful that you're going to see in this entire year. And I know it won't get any awards consideration at all, but if I was in the acting branch and I was voting for who should be nominated, I'd definitely place one of my votes and give it to her, because this is just an absolutely exceptional performance from top to bottom. But everybody else, rounds out this cast so perfectly. And I love that the script captures all the different agendas and viewpoints that these people have, and how they're processing the situation, opposite some of the other people who are around, and how, things come to head, and the tension. It just really writhes such great conflict out of an already intense and fraught situation. And I think that's probably the greatest strength of this movie, which I think every film set in a very small, minuscule location should do. But just the way, we know what eventually happens in this story if we know our history, right? But the way that the movie continuously pulls the rug out from underneath you throughout the entire runtime and keeps you guessing as to what is going to happen at each twist and turn along the way is not only an incredible feat from a narrative standpoint just in general, but the fact that these are actual audio recordings makes it that much more impressive, because it just has so much to draw from, but you're sort of constricted to telling specific beats, and it feels like a fully fleshed out narrative. And yet again, it's so tragic that that is the case, sort of similar to Perfect Neighbor in a lot of ways, where it's like we have this and it is just so primed to be told in a format like this, as terrifying and disheartening as it is. And I just think that it is kind of hard to deny having any emotions during this movie, because look, if you are siding with Israel at all, I implore you, just remove your biases from, the equation, and sit down and watch this movie, and you tell me that this isn't genocide. Because I think this presents this whole entire long-lasting conflict on such a micro scale that any human can relate to. How could you not be moved by the death of a child? Okay? And I think while some people might say that this film is exploitative and they are, taking advantage of her death and using it in a way that feels manipulative and senseless, I implore you, wait till you get to the end of the movie, because they explain it. And the way they go about this, I think, is just so beautiful. Such a great tribute to this young girl who never got a chance to live. And even knowing that that is the eventuality of the situation presented here, I think that this is riveting at every step of the way. Like I said, this was just one of the best screenings that I went to, considering the circumstances, how I got in, and, the whole crowd afterward. Everybody was chanting "Free, Free Palestine" at the end of the screening, and it was just so powerful. I mean, I was absolutely wrecked by the end of this movie. I think everybody in the theater was in tears. I mean, how could you not be? Just reacting to such a heartless and senseless situation like this one. I do think, though, if I had any nitpicks with it, there is one scene that just kind of cuts away abruptly, and I was like, huh? And I thought there could have been a little bit more, elaboration and completion to that scene. Like, maybe it went on for like 20 more seconds, and it would have felt a little bit more natural in the way it wrapped up. But I can't really think of too much more that I can pinpoint against this movie. This really is one of my favorite films of the year. And I really do hope it gets that Oscar nomination for Best International Feature. I think based on the fact that Hania has been nominated twice before, I do think that it might take that 5th place slot alongside the 4 Neon movies that are going to get into that category, and I couldn't be happier for this. I think that this is not just an essential piece of filmmaking, I think that this is an essential piece of history, really captured in this movie in such an incredible and intangible and just absolutely gut-wrenching way. And I'm going to give The Voice of Hind Rajab a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, I really implore everybody to check out this movie. I don't care what side you fall on. This is something that everybody needs to see. And I just think it's one of the most effective and most emotionally rousing films of the entire year on top of that. But you guys let me know if you've seen The Voice of Hind Rajab. What did you think of it? Does it bother you that they use the actual phone calls and the audio? I really would be interested to hear as to why, because I think the movie really makes a point, and I think it makes it extremely well, and still, you know, serving as a great tribute to this young girl. But if you like this review, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. I got a couple that I'm trying to get done this week, namely Is This Thing On?, the latest film from writer, director, actor Bradley Cooper, as well as The Testament of Anne Lee, the latest from Mona Fastfold with Amanda Seyfried. So please stay on the lookout for that, and of course Avatar, Fire and Ash. I will be talking about that very soon as well. And until then, take it easy, and I'll talk to you very soon.